Alright, I'm Nicole and this is Beargrass Soap, and we're going to be coating the soap from yesterday's video, which was Awaken, which is an essential oil blend, and Farmhouse, which is also an essential oil blend. I'm going to start with Awaken. And start cutting. Making sure I'm lined up properly. I let my soaps sit about 24 to 48 hours. This one's been sitting not quite 48. I like the colors these came out, just a light green. Now we have been making soap for about 17 or 18 years. I got interested in making soap from a book written by Lorraine Snelling. It was a historical fiction, and in the book they were talking about making soap from scratch. And I got curious as to how do you make soap? And at the time, YouTube was very new. It was, what, 6 months, a year old at best. So there may have been one, maybe two soapers on there at the time, if that. And so I learned through books, old school, I guess is what you'd say. So I ordered a bunch of books and read and took notes and practiced on learning how to make soap. I found it fascinating. And that is how I got started. I spent probably I probably spent 4 years learning and perfecting before I ever started sewing. Because again, way back then, there was no real information to be had unless it was in forums or books. And finally, I did find Eden's Secret in the UK. She does videos, and I found some of hers right when she started. Now, she did not teach how to make the soap, just showed her doing it. And by watching her and studying her videos, I was able to learn things I didn't know before that I didn't learn from the books. Like how to make the cupcakes, how to get the piping consistency thick enough by just watching. So I have been selling soap full time for about I think 10 years now. So if you're just starting out learning to make soap, I strongly suggest that you really study and learn every aspect about it. Watch multiple different soapers. Read books. Use Facebook groups to learn. Really, truly learn what it is you're doing before you go start selling, especially if you want to do it as an income. Because you need to have confidence in yourself for others to have confidence in your product. When you run your business, treat it like a business. Don't try to do too much. That is one thing I have ran into and realized in the last year. Well, not even the last year. I've come to that realization in the last 6 months that I've been trying to do too much. So I am going back to the basics of just making soap. I had gotten into the trap of making everything that people requested. Making bath bombs, because I was getting a lot of requests for bath bombs. Then I started making the body scrubs. A lot of requests for body scrubs. And they all did really good for about 2 or 3 years. Now, with the coming on of inflation and other things, prices are going up, which means my prices have to go up. So I am not selling those products as well. So I am cutting those out. I did scrubs, lotions, bath bombs, room sprays, and wax melts, and some other stuff. So I am going to go back to the basics and do what I truly enjoy, which is just simply soap making. We have an indoor booth space at our local market. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I get about 21 bars out of my loaf. And now we're going to do farmhouse. And instead of calling, back to the subject anyway. So one thing I do, instead of looking at my space, I rent a full-time space that is a 20 by 10. And I treat it as if I am running my own physical shop. Because basically it is. It's in there with other businesses. I have my own space. But I look at it as this is my own personal business, my own shop space. And I have it decorated like I would if I had a full-fledged brick and mortar. When you walk into my booth, or what I call my shop, you're going to feel like you're walking into a physical store. Now, other vendors don't do that, but that is something that I choose to do. There is one other soaper there at our market, and she does the exact same thing. Now, she sells other things besides just soap also. She sells honey and some really good like, I don't know what you call it. What do you call it? It's grown in North Carolina, flours, bread mixes, grits, things like that. Really cool, really good stuff. And she does the same thing. She has her booth set up like they are walking into a store. So if you're gonna run, if you're gonna do it, treat it like it's a real business. Make it inviting to the customers. Also, something that I want to point out is if you're new to soap making and you're new to selling and you're trying to get into farmers markets and things like that, don't get discouraged or upset or angry because you're denied entry to one market. If you're told, well, we've already got 2 or 3 soapers, we're not taking anymore, don't get angry. And don't take it out on the market or the other soapers. Now, I have had this done to me. Had people take it out on me. That being said, like I said, don't get upset. And know it's discouraging, but look somewhere else. There's plenty of other markets. When I started doing this, when I started selling at farmers markets about 10 years ago, I had to drive an hour one way to be a part of a market where there weren't too many soapers. Then I kept working, and I think I stayed there for about 3 or 4 years. And in that meantime, I continued to look for other markets, other places. And eventually, I found one within about 30 minutes from where I live. And I did that one. And again, there was already a couple other soapers there, but they allowed me in, and I sold there for a while. And I also did the outdoor market. That was about 15 minutes away. So I did 2 at a time. I did one weekend and one the next. When the market that was closer bought a building and started the indoor market. It was an old mercantile store that they renovated. And that is where we are now. And me and one of the other soapers that was at one of the other markets, we are there together. And what we do is we work together. If I don't make something that I know she makes, then I send my customers to her. And if she knows that I have something that she doesn't make, then she will send her customers to me. So we try to work together and help each other out. You want to be able to find a place where you have that relationship and you can build that relationship and not have animosity. You want to be able to work together, and you want everybody to be able to make money. If you get too many of the same products in one place, it doesn't work well for everyone. So at our current market, and this is their policy, they allow 2 of us. 2 of each type of craft or product. So we have 2 soap makers. We have 2 woodworkers. We have 2 crocheters, 2 jewelry makers, and so on. And then, you know, farmers, vegetables, you can have multiple. We have several at that market. I feel like I'm rambling, but hopefully I'm making sense. The bottom line is, work to truly learn the craft of soap making. You never know absolutely everything. Be fair, be kind, and keep trying and find the right place for you. Don't have your heart set on just one place. It may not work out, or it may work out and it just still not be the right place for you. Look outside of your close area. Be willing to go somewhere else to sell. Now, I do not sell my soap in my own, still to this day, I don't sell my product in the town that I live in. Because people just aren't interested. So I go somewhere else. Where I sell now, in that market and in that town, I love. I have found my place where I thrive and where I do good. Now, at some point, I would absolutely love to have a full brick and mortar store in that town, in that location, because it's a tourist town, and that's what works for me. My soaps, their names are, how do I put this? How do I say it? They promote, no, they don't really promote. How do I say it? I lost my train of thought. My soap reflects the tourism of that town, of our area of North Carolina. Like, we have a soap that is called Hatteras, one that's called Outer Banks, one that's called Village Life, one that's called Road Anthony. We have one that we call Captain, one that we call Queen Anne's Revenge, one that we call I completely lost my train of thought. Blackbeard. So it's kind of themed for our area, for the North Carolina coast. So if you're feeling